What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Professional Opinion Show. What is going on, brother?
Episode 3, dude. Time to time to dig into you. All the snow is melting, so it appears correct. There's some weather issue with all my technical doings before, which I know. It's like I said, dude. Florida's not. It's why we don't know how to build snowmen. It's like
Not
we
built for
weren't
that,
prepared
man.
for that. Nah, dude. And I'm like physically not built for cold, to be honest with you. My hands are still like my skin's cracking. I'm probably just getting old too, but you do the pro thing more than I do because Alabama has no professional sports at all. So
Yeah.
college football is it. Where you sit on this? I've been listening to this all day long, dude. And you know what I'm about to ask you all day
Yep.
long. I just find it. There are people, dude, that I watched at the gym today that like, bro, they're serious. Like they think this whole script and it's real. And I got home today and I did what I always do. Come home, I do the hey, what's up, fam thing, hang out with the dog a little bit, and then I put on Pat McAfee because that's like my jam. And I was watching them because I didn't watch the game. I
Yeah.
watched a little bit of the Philly, and it quickly turned into a blowout. So
Man.
I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, dude, good for Jalen, bro. I'm a Jalen supporter just because Roll Tide.
Right.
But I didn't see the Chiefs game, but I was watching all the controversial, plays and stuff. And I'll be honest with you, man, particularly the who was it? Something Allen. They had to
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Or Josh Allen. Shoot. Yeah.
Allen, yes. Man, I don't know. I mean, that was so close. Like that's a hard one to call. I do think it always goes down to quote Coach Saban, dude, who obviously is football god. Dude, if you take care of the plays like you're supposed to, you never get put in that situation. That you never want to leave it up to the replay camera or the refs. And so, but I want to hear your take because I know you're way into more of the NFL than I am.
Yeah, man. I diehard Bengals fan, so of course it's all real. Everybody's on the Mahomes bandwagon. But no, all seriously, no. I mean, there were some games this year, particularly in the playoffs, that I thought the script was. I was pretty bought into it, but I mean, honestly, yesterday I think that was a weak case made for the script piece. There, I mean, a couple super close calls.
Yeah,
Of course, people are going to scrutinize everything, and when you go back and watch those super slow mos, I mean, I feel like you could take it either way. But that being said, Patrick Mahomes historically gets ridiculously more, roughing the passer, flopping, crap than anybody else. I think there is something to that, but to say, the full blown script with
yeah,
Taylor and all that, as much as I want to really buy into it, as a
right.
Bengals fan, because they knock us out the last couple of years, I can't go full blown conspiracy there. Dude's a beast, and I feel like when you're that good, you're gonna get calls. So
Right.
unfortunately, we have to watch him Kermit go back to the Super Bowl, which I'm not a super fan of. I'll join you team rooting for Jalen there. So yeah, go Eagles.
Well, dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I would love to see Jalen win, but there's a part of me too that, man, one of the main reasons I got like into strength and conditioning is because anytime, anytime you see somebody do something cool, the first thing that pops in my head is like, I can't wait to see how someone tops this because they do every time, dude.
Right.
Like, if you think about the first guy to do like a one arm pull up, and people were
Yeah.
like, "Damn, that's crazy." And then someone did a muscle up, and they were like, "Damn, that's crazy." Dude, there's cats out there now doing muscle ups to their feet, standing on top of the pull up bar. Like, so
That's
it just
nuts, man.
people just keep taking it to the next level every time. So I do kind of, you know, if there is a script, I don't know. Three Pete was a good album, so it's got to be a good show. Uh,
Right.
like
Yeah, I mean
I
it's the same thing like Brady, man. Everybody hated Brady, but at some point it's gotta turn into
Everybody hates
respect, man.
winners. Yeah, everybody hates winners, dude. They hated Brady. They hated the NASCAR people hated Jeff Gordon. The
Yeah, LeBron's a new big dog.
I don't care if they hate LeBron or not. They gotta hate Michael before they hate anybody. Yeah, that will forever and always be. Michael took sports to a whole new level. LeBron's just chasing Michael's records. Michael,
Yeah.
the NIL, all these college kids getting paid. Michael laid that first domino, dude,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
That dude's just, and he did it with food poisoning and everything else you can throw at that. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
why I sit on the Michael LeBron debate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, pure sports, yeah, it's tough. I think LeBron gets himself into he digs his own grave a lot of the times trying to bounce outside of what, out of
Yeah,
basketball.
him and
Michael
that
was smart. He
that
said, "Hey."
kid, him and his boy though, that's cool.
Oh,
That's
yeah, yeah.
cool.
I mean, that's something you'll probably never see again.
Nah,
Speaking of scripts though, that kid probably had no reason he got really drafted other than to be a cool ass story and the press and all that, so.
totally. And like you said, we won't see it probably ever again because the only reason we were able to is because LeBron walked straight out of high school. Had he
Right,
done like a college thing, he'd already be retired, dude. You know?
right.
Uh, but yeah, that'll probably never, at least I would never say never, but I don't think we'll see it, because hell, that if anything, just because these kids playing high school ball now might start getting paid enough to not go to the
Dude,
league.
exactly, yeah. I mean, that's a true story for sure.
Yeah. But
Every year something new.
speaking of high school, when last we got on here, I had to dig way back in my memory bank and do my very long way around the way. And dude, I watched that episode back and I was like, God dang, dude, I gotta figure out how to talk. I'd be going all the way around the bend to get to an answer. Needless to say, I think when we met that we clicked so well because if you've mentioned before, dude, even though probably vastly different surroundings and whatnot, and different family structure, what have you, we still somehow managed to walk down a very similar path, like discussing things with
Mhm.
each other, uh, almost eerily. So I would think. I think the only major difference, and I don't know, so I'm looking forward to find out. But I think the only like major difference was you chose to come in and meet me in the military, and I was escorted.
Yeah, 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 I feel like, it'd be a hard stories to live up to there, and I mean, I think you say, long way around telling a story, but I think there's something to that, man. That's when people always tell you, like, you can tell a story. I mean, you get people involved, and I don't know that I necessarily have that, so we'll have to kinda make do here, but, I think listening to your story last week, I knew a lot of more similarities than probably, you're about to find out, but
Can't
yeah,
wait,
so
dude.
yeah, with that, I'm trying to think where to even start. So probably middle school, I would say is probably a good place to start for me. Kind of pretty formidable time. I originally, like all up until middle school, I grew up in a suburb of Cincinnati from a divorced family. Fortunately, mom and dad actually got along great as far as like, we as kids knew it, like split their time, never really saw any animosity or whatever. But my dad did move out, and things like that. It was a little, obviously, I think the older you get, you realize kind of the toll that takes on you. But at the time, you're just like rocking out as a kid, just trying to stay out of trouble. But after my seventh grade year, my mom had met a new her what was a boyfriend, became her fiance, and we moved out to like completely different city. Let's try like maybe 35, 40 minutes away, back to where like I live today. But that, yeah, go ahead.
So when your folks first split, mine. So we're still in the same story, by the way. Yeah, but
Right.
when your folks first split, y'all still they lived in the same neighborhood still.
No, not same neighbor. I'd say like same,
Like how
maybe
long it
like
take to
10,
get to
15
dad's house?
minutes.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's
So
wild.
yeah,
That's
that's what I
not
mean. It
even
kind
like because when my folks split, dude, like Big Con stayed in the fort, Spanish Fort, and my pops was in Fairhope, my real dad, right?
mm,
I shouldn't say that. I should say my biological dad because that's where I
yeah.
stood on that. But
Yeah.
he stayed in Fairhope, so we were the divorced kids, dude, that was like 2 Christmases. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Because it completely felt disconnected. Whereas
Mhm.
what you're describing, dude, that kinda
Yeah, I
just feels
mean,
like you're like, "I'm gonna pop over to dad's for a minute," you know?
right, yeah, yeah. I mean, it was like that for sure. I mean, in both sides, I mean, fortunate for me, I mean, both sides had awesome families, so we still did get like double of every holiday, you know. And then both sides got remarried, and then so then it was like four. We just got so many. It's it really is like a good thing, but so yeah, but the big thing was when I moved, in seventh grade, I feel like you're already starting to get your identity as a young kid, and then you're in your social classes are starting. I was always like one of the popular kids. I would say above average at sports. I was never great, but like I was good enough to where like I made the teams and stuff like that. But
Right.
then it's like to get plucked out of all of that to move to like complete separate school district and kind of start from scratch as a seventh grader. And also learned too, like I was in the suburbs of Cincinnati, which you don't really know until you see something different. But I moved into like inner city school that was a little bit rougher. I mean, it had it's like
Gang, gang.
it's very stereotypical. It has like the river going through it, east side and west side. There's a very clear line where a lot of socioeconomic divide is there
Right.
as well. And dude, get this, you'll probably think this is interesting. I mean, it sounds like a brilliant idea. So, and this is, we'll just, for story's sake, we'll kind of call it West Side, more of white, nicer, you know, stereotype nicer. And then the East Side is more of like, your mix of classes. You have your Hispanic communities, more your traditionally black neighborhoods. So the brilliant idea they had is instead of cutting like the school, there was two middle schools. So instead of cutting it down the river, saying like, here's your west side middle school, here's your east side middle school, they took it north and south. So to try to mix people a lot earlier, in theory, like it sounds like a decent social
It
experiment.
yeah. How'd that pan out?
Yeah, I mean, so hindsight looking back, like I really enjoyed it, and I mean you'll probably hear why because my I got into the hip hop culture and like a lot of things you described, but so we moved onto a west side and like my stepdad was a home builder, so he bought like a piece of land, built this like beautiful nice brick ranch, and they actually thought we were in like more of like the country school district, like we were on the outskirts of the west side. So
Okay.
then, so I go from that, like, okay, we're moving out to this cool house and stuff like that. Then to find out, like, I'm getting sent all the way over to like the east side middle school. Had like a 45-minute bus ride over there. But yeah, that was kind of my introduction to this new city, new school district was, like, here's the west side. Here's all these
Yeah.
different things that looking back, in the suburbs of where I was coming from, it's traditionally, mostly, whites and I mean knucklehead, folks over there too. But that's where I think kind of coming along the same lines of your story, you don't really know anybody. I'm coming in, and just like any school, I think a basketball gets rolled out on the floor somewhere, and eventually, I just got in and started playing basketball, and that's really my first circle came from, out on the basketball court, which you know, uh, pretty stereotypically was mostly I had Puerto Ricans, I had a couple Mexican guys, and mostly other blacks. Was became my inner circle at this new school growing up. So
Wow, dude. We had one Mexican.
yeah,
One. It was all
really,
black and white when I grew up. One.
yeah,
His name was Jafet Barrera. He's one of my like best friends. Died when he was like 23, I think. But like, so all I couldn't imagine just that. I didn't see this mix that you're talking about till like
yeah,
hell till I got out of town. Really, I mean, like,
right.
so I couldn't imagine. Which question? So I'm taking it. The basketball court did not look that way in your suburb neighborhood.
No, no, there was. Yeah, I mean, we
So
really
it
had
was
like.
like exposure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, and there wasn't
Hell
really even
yeah, dude.
courts. It went from like driveway basketball games to like full on like park, middle of a
Chain
park
nets.
basketball games. And yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dude, when you
So,
hear the chain net, you're in it, dude.
oh yeah, yeah, you're there. But yeah, I mean, a thick Hispanic community, and dude, I connected with them like super tight. Matter of fact, one of my first two best friends at this new school were Hispanics, and I'm talking like thugged out Hispanics too, like slicked all the way back hair, like wearing the big Ben
The
Davis. Oh yeah,
chulos and all.
button,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
dude.
all the way up, scrap over nothing.
Satres.
But no, and still to this day, man, I still run with a lot of those guys. I mean, grew up to be. I mean, of course, there's a subsection that went off and continued their
Keeping it real.
extracurriculars, but yeah, but no, yeah, still. So one of my best friends today came from that that some of that first week at that new school clicking up, but. So yeah, man. So honestly, I started running the basketball little circles. Started realizing like that's my that's my in. That's kind of what something I know to kind of build a relationship around. So then we got a basketball hoop at my house. And so then like every day I'm coming home like, dude, I got to get better. This is my whole, I
Yeah.
kind of built a new identity around, this new skill that I learned was important for connecting with folks. So then I actually like tried out, made the basketball team, was a white point guard on the rest of the team was a mixed bag. But so, yeah, I mean, I think that was important to really kind of became my core. And of course, everything that came with that culture, the hip hop, the learning deep into the, rap music. And then, the folks that would kind of take me behind the scenes, like, well, here's what they're actually talking about. And here's connecting the dots for like,
Isn't that,
and
like, so fun? Like, it's like a new
oh
world,
man.
bro.
Yeah, and you realize like, oh, like they're not just making songs about it. Like this is real life. And I think for me that was like a big respect thing too. Like I'd meet these guys and even knowing kind of what they're into. Like I just found like connecting with them, treating them with respect, and just kind of like I'm not seeing nothing, but and they kind of respected me as well. So for whatever reason, I just created this bond with all the pretty much like all the knuckleheads and traditional people that you probably don't want to run into on the street. Like for whatever reason, kind of took me under their wing because I think they could tell. It's like here's this West Side kid, probably comes from a little bit of money. We didn't, but it kind of looked like that on the outside. But is willing to kind
Right.
of come down here and connect with us on a real level, kind of ask questions, be inquisitive to kind of what we're doing, but not judging. I feel like a lot of times those folks are so used to being judged by the outer world that if you just come in and treat them like a real person and want to get to know them, and I felt like that goes a long way. And I think that's how I really kind of built that first community. But I think kind of connecting the dots with some of the things that you talked about again, kind of later into getting into some scuffles and things like that. You start to these guys kind of built. I want to say they almost kind of felt pride in just having me in their circles, and anybody that kind of poked me a little bit, poked the bear. I quickly
Yeah.
found out like they were there to swoop in and like no, not our guy. That's our white kid. Only we can
Yep.
mess with him and something like
Yep.
that. So, but which was
Starts
very
gassing
cool at
you up,
first.
right?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Like it's awesome at first, and then yeah, you learn. It took some humbling to really realize like that power can quickly serve to your detriment, just as it can help you out. So I guess fast forward a little bit, they built this kind of freshman school, as a freshman to bring the two high schools together, and that's where I think it brought me. I came from like that identity where it's like I run with all the knuckleheads. I, could run my mouth and I know nothing's going to happen to kind of coming full circle with, the knuckleheads on the other side of town and realizing like they don't really care. They're down to see what's all about,
Right.
And so for me, that was eye opening. I think I grew a lot in those years, just kind of figuring my way through it. And I guess really just like, what's the point? Like why, it's eventually just started connecting with folks of like, why are we even, running
Yeah,
around
yeah,
like
yeah.
idiots and trying to just bash each other's heads in when we're all trying to party and have fun and chase the girls, chase the party. And so ultimately, I think it took me most of through high school, but towards my senior year, I pretty much got along with everybody, just primarily in the party scene. That was probably my biggest downfall. I don't say downfall, but as a say
The
not so
party
good
scene?
kid. Yeah, I mean, I was definitely I was down I was a magnet to the party for sure. And I think it's because like looking back, like you said, I always knew my out was the military. And so I kind of viewed high school as
Rewind, rewind. What do you
yeah,
do you
so
Is your do you have prior is your family prior military? Like anybody?
So, yeah, my grandpa, who was he was a I want to say I want to say it in like a wrong sense, but he was almost like a father figure, another father figure to me. Where my dad, he was, I mean, he was a great dad, and we have a great connection still today. But he was more of like, have you ever heard like the two sayings of like a sport, like you don't play to not lose, play to win. I feel like my dad, he had one goal with us, and I he'll even say this today. Like my one goal is you guys will not be fuck ups. We'll bleep that out, or knucklehead. Like you will not be, screw ups, getting in jail, doing drugs, doing all that crap.
Yeah.
And so that was like his one goal, and he never really talked about like being successful. It was just you will not turn into an asshole,
Right.
To
Yeah.
whereas my grandpa, he was more of like, dude, there's more to life. You got to get out, go see the world. And back then that was still, and it was like you had to go to college. Like if you want to, and my grandpa was a lifelong roofer, entrepreneur, kind of built his own roofing business, then got pulled into another business that he intended grew up into like this huge business. So he kind of saw from the started from the bottom and built his way, like really
Yeah.
made it something for himself. So I think he was more of that mindset of like playing to win versus not to just make it
Survive.
through.
Right.
Yeah. To,
Yeah.
yeah. Like my dad's book, if you don't go to jail, like, hey, you won, buddy.
Yeah. Model citizens, right? And
Exactly. Yeah.
grandpa's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. You can be polite and successful.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So his big thing was us was like, he always on the grades. What are you doing grades wise? How are you going to college? And
That's
like
cool.
from a financial sense too, he's like, you're not going to just take out a bunch of student loans, so you need to figure out how to make this college thing work. He did the military. He was an army. He got more kind of forced into it, but ultimately, I
Hell
think
yeah,
realized
dude.
like I think this how he grew
Yep.
over his time in. He was like, it's not a bad thing for a young knucklehead, or even if you're a good kid, to go out and go through that experience. And he's like, you hate it, 4 years is gone, you come back and you really haven't lost any ground. So I kind of respected that a lot, and always was like, I'm gonna follow his footsteps, like, and do that, get my
Wow, dude, that's
college.
super cool.
Yeah. So
So
knowing
that's how
that
you
though,
had this is my fallback if I don't get in the NBA.
well, yeah, that was NBA never really that basketball
Clowning,
career
man.
thing didn't make it very far. I quickly became the backup, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, no, I was always like, I can kind of do whatever I want, and I'll just go. I'm planning to go to the military anyway, so what are you gonna do? Like, you gonna punish me? As you probably know, this was around 2008. What was when I was trying to join. Like things were getting cut back a lot, so they were kind of like, now if you've been in trouble, like you ain't coming in, and
They had just done as me and Kim both came in '03. And, she didn't even finish her 4 because they were hell, I had to go up there and write a whole essay of why to keep me, which
oh
is
god,
what yeah, dude. And because I got the Article 15 right off the bat. And so they were like, here's one,
mm,
let's go. And I had to go to Iraq. It's the only way I got to stay in. Uh
wow,
yeah, and Kim had just came back from Iraq and was like, "Yo, I'm good," and so
yeah,
she did the early out. So you literally like came when, yeah, dude, they were trimming the fat.
yeah. So and I'll tell you a story about that in just a second. But I say all that to say I kind of viewed. I mean, kind of looking back at it now, I think this wasn't intentional at the time, but almost like that. Those were my high school was almost like my college years. Like I was like, I'm gonna party my tail off here because once I go, then I'm actually like starting my adult journey. And
That
I knew like,
makes so much more sense to me now, dude,
yeah.
because my college years were the first.
Yeah. But high school was, I mean, I quickly came probably known as like the kid, like other parents. You probably don't want hanging out with me because they're going to drink and go find the parties and get after it. We were really good at that. My parents were also the kind that were like, as long as you're staying here, whatever you can do, you can,
Mhm.
what do you want? We'll grab some beers and we'll hang out. And it was it's like that. One thing my dad did tell me that I think really helped, and I want to dive deep into this in another episode, but early on, he kind of knew drinking kind of runs in our family with some alcoholics and stuff, but he was very upfront with that and was like, "Look, you can drink. It is a lot of fun, but be very aware. Like alcoholism runs in our family. If you start to
Yeah.
feel like you're becoming addicted, like let's, you know." So
Yeah.
that was good to always be like have that awareness and pulse of like, is it getting out of hand? Like, am I doing this because I want to have fun, or is like, do I feel like I need to? And
Right.
I feel like that at some level, that awareness had to have helped, or maybe just it just wasn't in my genes or whatever. But the other thing he did tell me about drugs and stuff, because his big thing was like, he's I think he just saw too many people go down that road. He's like, man, when you're partying, you're having fun and whatever. But he was like, when you start getting cocaine was the big thing back then, probably like
I was about
meth
to
is
say,
now.
bro, he saw the 70s.
Yeah, right.
Like,
But
like,
he was like the one thing I respect now, and I do want to we'll carve this off for another topic. But he was just like cocaine, like it is a lot of fun. You'll feel like Superman. It's like the best feeling ever. So he's like, which is why you never even fucking do one bit of it because you
yeah.
know what road it's gonna take you down. And I think without that awareness, like I saw so many people at parties, like it's there and they're like, "Oh, what's that? Like, let's try it." Whereas me, I had that like, dude, if you do that, like he kind of already laid out the roadmap ahead. Like, you try this, and that takes you down door number two, a long journey ahead. So it was like it looks bad when you kind of hang out and let these kids drink and you're having fun, but they did keep a tight pulse and they knew we weren't the type of kids that were going to get into like do that kind of nonsense and stuff. So for what it's worth, I do think that helped a lot, and but it did give me more freedom to like. Well, but you can go all in on this alcohol and take that to the top. So that kind of shaped a big part of my high school journey. But leading up to the military, this was one thing I felt like all the dumb stuff I did, this was like an innocent story that really began to shape like the latter half of my high school journey. So one night after a basketball game, got the whole team in my car. I was like the driver. I was the only one with the car, so I would go like make all the rounds, pick all the boys up, and we'd roll around until my curfew or whatever. So in my car, we're at this party. Nothing crazy. Like we weren't even drinking. Like I forget what was going on. I mean, I think we had practice like early next morning. But these dudes at the party were jawing, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go fight." And they like organized. We're gonna go fight down the street. So we were leaving. We're like, "Hey, let's just go watch these two fight, and then we'll just head home." So we pull up to watch, and they're out in the street getting after it. And before I get to this part, I just kind of go outline who was in the car. There was in the front seat. Well, it doesn't matter what seat they're in, but I had two black guys, a Puerto Rican, and a Mexican. So these are my dogs. These were like my crew, and we ran everywhere together. But for
Man, your
context,
word,
that's
the damn get along gang, dude. That's a
oh
mess.
man, yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
always
We
what
were
they in Alabama they always called my car salt and pepper.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we were thick as thieves though. But so we pull up. And we're just sitting in my car watching this, but and the two dudes that were fighting in the street were white guys, and we were on the west side, like traditionally white neighborhood. So we
Okay.
pull up
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
watch. This dude, this dude, and like three other dudes came off this porch with baseball bats, and we're like, "Get these n words out of here!" Dudes just start swinging on
To
my
your
car,
oh
to my
no
car, dude.
way.
Busted the windshield out of, and like we're all in my car. I damn near like parallel parked, so I'm like, what is going on? But then everybody's, heads down, there's glass flying everywhere. They're like shoving the bats in the car, like dude,
Oh
everybody's
my
bleeding.
god, dude.
Yeah,
You
so it's
were you
crazy.
on the clan drive? Like holy
Yeah, I mean, come to find out, yes.
yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, so anyway, like, like anybody would do, I'm like, how do I get that, F out of here as quick as I can? So I throw it in reverse, take off flying up the street, and everybody's just screaming like, "What the fuck happened?" Like, what is going on? There's like, I'm driving like with my head out the window because my windshields are like
Yeah.
frosted. So
Spider.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm hauling it up this street, and I didn't really know where I was at. I get to the top of this little hill, and
What
there's a
time is this? Is this
it's
like
probably
early
like about
morning?
midnight. No,
Yeah.
it's probably
Yeah.
about midnight.
Yeah.
But the top of this hill is like there's it's like big like dead end guardrail. So
Oh.
I'm like, oh
Oh.
freaking! So I slam on the brakes. I have no idea where I'm at. Bust a Yui real quick. So I'm turning
And
around, going
they
right
know
back.
though. They know
Oh,
where
they
you
know.
just
Yeah,
went.
they know where it's at. So yeah, probably see where this is going.
Oh
So
my
I'm turning
god,
around,
dude.
I'm coming back down the hill, and the main guy, he's standing, he's batter up, like he's in the middle of the street with this bat back, like, like asking me to stop, and everybody in the car is like, "Dude, we ain't stopping."
Run his ass
so
over.
so I did, man. I end up hitting him. Yeah. You weren't ready for that one, huh?
You like
Oh man.
swerve and lose like a side mirror, and you're like, nope,
So,
nope,
well,
nope.
I mean, dude, I mean, this street, there was cars on both sides, parked on both sides. There was like no real swerving. I mean, so
Yeah,
he stayed there. You got to give it to him. He stayed there till like the last second, and then he tried to go move off, but he hit the yeah. So I ended up running him
he
over.
got clipped. Yeah,
He flipped over the car. The crazy thing is, dude, you like like not ever hitting a person. Most people probably have not gone through that experience. Don't know this,
yeah.
but I'm like bracing for like I'm about to hit a tree. Thinking this is gonna be like a. So I'm like, everybody, hold on, like shut your eyes and go. Dude, it was like the slightest of road bumps I've ever. It was just like a sound more than anything. But so he goes flying over the car, and we didn't even stop. Just kept freaking hauling the mail right out of there. End up just going home, and I kind of rest of that story isn't really relevant. But however, I end up my parents called and were like, "Yo, this is what happened. Like my kid's car doesn't have any windows in it because this dude just beat him out." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're looking for you. Like we just had to air carry this guy to the hospital, and yeah, he said that it was a young kid that ran him over." And so luckily for me anyway, the dude ended up surviving. Like, but he had like a lot of internal bleeding, all kinds of crap. And to jump all the way to the end of the story, I ended up getting charged with a felonious assault, like using my car as a deadly weapon. And so there goes like Air Force journey that I've been looking forward to like all 4 years. Is like I
So
was
you
in the
think
depth.
waivers,
Yeah, right. But yeah, so I was so blue, man, at that time. I was, as soon as I could join the dep, like I was a 2 year depper. I was tight with my recruiter, and then like senior year that happens, and
what's
he's
a
like,
depper? What's that mean?
like the delayed enlistment program. You
Ah,
probably skipped over all that, didn't you? But yeah,
yeah,
like once
yeah.
you like you first, I think as a junior, you can like reach out to your recruiter, like, hey, this is what I want to do, and
Okay,
then
okay, yeah,
you
like
meet
a
up like
actual path.
monthly, and
Yeah,
yeah. So, but most people do like 6 months, maybe 4 months, and then they're out. But yeah, I was in there for 2 years, just connecting with him, just staying tight with him, which actually ended up coming out to help me because, when that happened, he was like, bro, you can't, there's like, they're not even, it's hard to get in without an assault on your record, much
right.
less like you're smoked, dude. So anyway, and shout out to OJ Toller, man, dude, he's the best recruiter out there. And I didn't know, like when I joined, that like not every recruiter was good until I got the basic, and they're like my recruiter sold me all kind of crap. But yeah, I got
Wow.
lucky, man. I just found one of the good ones. Dude, he went to court with me. We appealed like the case. OJ went to the court with me in his full service dress, like gave a huge speech about like all this stuff. And I still had to do it. I mean, I had to meet with like top, all the recruiting squadron. Like he went up to bat for me and was like, basically basically
Good kid,
sold
had
me
one
in at
mistake. Yeah,
somehow.
yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that
Did that
for a
end up
long time.
null process?
I don't what's that? Is that like is that
As
like
where
waving
they
it or
yeah, I mean, they kinda yeah, they just put it like, the only people that can access that's the feds.
Oh, yeah, because so it was gone. We appealed the case. It took like 6 months. It went to like the appellate court, which like three random judges go like read through, and they were just like, "Dude, the kid self-defense, man." Like he right, like and I mean, it's just getting down the weeds, but so there was one witness. She was at the bottom of the street. And because at the end I did try to swerve, but there just wasn't much room. So
Right,
the dude said I swerved to hit him when he was trying to run away. She was at the bottom of the street looking back, and she was like, "Yeah, he swerved to the left." And I was saying like, "No, I swerved to the right." And what vice when she's looking this way, I'm looking that way. We were saying the same thing, and so they,
right,
they mapped it out on a whiteboard and was like, "Yeah, no, like he tried, but at the same time,
right.
kid's scared for
Bro,
his life."
standing in the street with the back, like,
Right.
how about you get
And
out of the damn street?
I got 5 bloody friends, like, yeah, am I gonna stop and let you just, like, finish the job? Like, what
Right,
what
right.
am I supposed to do? So, luckily, I think ultimately justice prevailed, I guess. I'm trying to think where I was going with that. Oh, but yeah, when it appealed, it lost, but it stays on your record at some point. Or no, we had it squashed, but then when I came up for my TS, they found it.
Yeah.
Of
Okay.
course,
Found
yeah,
it. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So luckily, yeah, that was my journey in, and I for a long time there, I thought it was down the hole. So of course, the partying gets a little bit harder and things like that. But fortunately, I also knew I was on thin ice. So once I knew there was still a chance, man, I was like a model citizen those last couple months, and eventually joined. And I think that's why I probably had a different appreciation for the Air Force. I knew like without that, man, I was down the hose, and it's like I was all in on this thing. I finally got kind of dangled away from me, and then I got to go. So then I really like made sure I made it count once I got in,
And
and
you
also
did.
like.
Yeah, and you did.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like to think I got my money's worth, but the thing also too, like I knew I was on a tight window. Just like I mean, I really did like appreciate my family and want to get back. So I was like, man, I only really got these 6 years to make to get like squeeze everything I can out of it. So I think that helped too to kind of have that.
You even always knew, damn, dude, I did not realize, man, I feel terrible now, dude. I Bro, I didn't realize like your grandpa like that y'all were that tight. Like, cause I mean
Oh
he
yeah,
literally laid a path out for you and you were on it,
dude,
right? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
speed bump aside.
right,
uh
dude.
but
He was like
that's
my
wild.
biggest cheerleader when I hit that dude. Yeah, he was in court. He was
Hell
yelling
yeah.
at the judge and stuff. Like, "Oh, dude, you I think you met him one time, but
Twice.
uh, oh, did
Twice.
you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
twice.
man, dude, he
And we
was
together
you
one time. I only remember half of
did
it.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's right. I think it was at my gender reveal. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 But yeah, man, that was my dog, and that's who, unfortunately, rest in peace. We just lost, a couple
Yeah,
weeks
that's
back.
what I'm
But
saying, bro. I had no
yeah,
idea.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
like, it's so cool to hear this because, like, now looking back, like having this insight, like just seeing how it was with you and your family and like, and Dustin and everybody, like, I mean, it was very evident that like number one fan club, but he had to be. I don't know if he ever told you this, but I can just tell you. I mean, you're a father, as a man, dude. If watching somebody like not only not only know that they're listening, right? Not
Mhm.
they hear you, but they're listening, and
Right,
then to listen and take heed. Like you
right.
literally, because I'm sure he also knew that you had your plan for what you were going to do afterwards, and all the because you were doing business ventures while you were in. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
bro, he had to. Man, well done, Tyler. Well
Oh
done.
man, I don't amp me up that much, but yeah, no, he was definitely proud. I mean, he did that for like all. I was one of five of us, and I mean, he did the same thing for all of them, and everybody, knock on wood, is has been successful too, man. So just hell of a guy, and really says. I mean, you saw like he was down there for. He'd find like any excuse to just come down and
I
hang
was about
out
to say
and be whatever.
every major event. So like,
Yeah,
yeah, nah,
yeah, he was
I,
also not the biggest fan though, and I did decide to step away from, he was real proud of the corporate job I got because I think that's something he was so blue collar, out in the field his whole life. For me to get a corporate job right out and to be doing so well in that world, and then I was like, hey, yeah, I think I'm gonna quit. He was like, what? Because I think to him like that's this whole time like I finally was like on that path to go where he thought made the most sense. But ultimately, I mean, he was more of just like I think the older he got, more of like a secure. He wanted security, like he didn't wanted not to worry about any of his grandkids. So for him, me leaving represented risk, in which it did.
right.
But fortunately, he did live long enough to see me like start to thrive in this world as well.
Well, of
So
course. I'm sure he also knew in the back of his head, anyways, that like it doesn't matter what you're gonna do. You're gonna be good at anything you put your foot in the door on.
yeah, well, so far, yeah, it's worked out. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just like it's just work ethic, I mean, more than anybody, it's really not like hard to be successful. It's just like you gotta just put your head down and not stop until
Yeah.
until you get there. So yeah, man. I mean, that's really, I don't know, that I skipped over a whole lot, but
You
a lot of
don't think you
similarities
skipped
there.
over a whole lot?
I said I don't know. I probably did.
I know one thing you skipped over for sure.
Oh man, is
Dude,
that?
are you seriously not gonna, bro? So you know what I do you? I do you one. I do you a favor, so you can yet again outshine what I tried. The so a group of folks, dude, isn't it crazy? Like how influential like hip hop came on to the scene, and it's
Oh,
particularly the '90s, because everybody like when you hear folks talk about Sir Mix-a-Lot and all those cats back in the day, just
mm,
doing like rhyme schemes and whatnot. But dude, and I know what it is. There's actually a science behind it, because one of the courses that I was teaching when I was right before I was about to retire, I used to teach a chems course, right? Which is keep in memory techniques, right?
mm.
And yeah, I have to one of these days I'll walk you through that, dude. It'll blow your mind. But the brain, right? To give you the class really quick, right? The brain's number one superpower is deleting information, right?
Okay,
Like,
that makes sense.
yeah. So if you don't find it of interest, or
Hmm.
it comes across as not something practical that you can utilize, or it's just boring to you, it's gone, dude.
Right,
Your
gone.
your brain will
Yep.
not retain that because it doesn't waste space. And the more layers of whatever it is that you're talking about, be it a tangible, cognitive, emotional, those kind of layers, right? The more layers
Hmm.
you pack into what it is that you're trying to plant, the more it sticks, right? Because
Hmm.
it means more to you. Uh, and what the brain loves the most is the parental advisory sticker. Like dead serious, dude.
Dude.
Dead serious. Anything. Think about all the things that you remember best. There's some kind
Hmm.
of they're either traumatic, right?
Right.
Or they're explicit, like sexual in nature, or they have some kind of there is color involved in that memory, right? And so they found out that the more, I mean, those are the best selling movies. People like all the action and drama BS. No one's going to the theater to see a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Like it's not, you know what I mean? That your
Oh
brain
yeah,
likes
100%. Yeah.
violence and explicit stuff. So I think
Hmm.
when like the gangster rap crap came on, dude, I'm telling you right now, you find anybody in our generation, right? You see Kim driving into to freaking Publix, dude. It might be today's a good day with Ice Cube, right? And like
Oh yeah.
you wouldn't think that when she's coming down, dude. But it's like, no, dude. Everybody to some level, even in Alabama, dude. The good old boys with the 4x4s, shotgun in the back glass,
Yeah.
bro. They put 212s in the back seat. You know what I mean? Because it was that like impactful when it came on the scene. So our same stories, right? We're running around. I would even argue a little bit, dude, that like really diving deep into the music, because like you said, you start to find out that like, I mean, honestly, these dudes are just poetically telling their story, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it gets to this place. The only place where it gets to this immaturity, right, is this sense of like needing to stay in that place and needing to flex for no other reason than to show that like, yeah, I'm still like down. Don't be an
Right.
idiot.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just
Right.
it's the same as cats that came into the military, right, to get out of like bad neighborhoods, but then for some reason, like try to bring that with. It's like, hey man, you got up
Right.
out of there. Like, calm down. Like now it's
Exactly.
time to like you can take this new journey, right? And some cats just can't let go, especially but once that is like how they it
It's
is
like their
how they
identity.
identify.
Yeah. I
Yes,
mean, yeah.
100%, right?
Exactly.
So they don't know how to step away and be whatever. But in that, so I freaking found out real quick that like, okay, I guess I've always been I'm left-handed. I'm freaking if I can see it, I can draw it, like whatever it is. So I've always been like artistic in nature, right?
Right.
Like all these on me, I drew freaking well, except the one my daughter drew. But so I've always been into that, right? And so the whole word play, and especially dude, as these rappers got like really into it,
Man.
like
Mhm.
with the double word meanings and like, and like you were saying, those guys explaining, yeah, when they're talking about this, like different worlds with different verbiage, like sets, and
Exactly,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? You start
Right.
to realize like, dang, there's actually some thought in this. This ain't just,
Right.
roses are red, violets are blue. Like there's some thought. And so when I got into it at that level, like again, I wasn't just hearing what was coming. I was listening, you know.
Mhm.
I feel like the only natural next step after that, especially after you numb your senses, is to give it a go yourself, dude. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
we would always get to a bonfire party, whatever, especially if I was going cross town. Then dudes was figured out how to like strip lyrics off and just get instrumentals, and that
Oh,
just
yeah.
became, if you sat down with some cats and it's like, damn, this dude don't know how to play spades, he was talking shit. You turn on that radio, dude, and all of a sudden everybody's involved, right? And then
Right.
there's always the quiet dude in the corner who just ain't hammered enough yet, but he'll get there, and
Oh, yeah.
then the show's coming. You know what I mean? And but
Oh,
I
man.
found out in my little circle, dude, that I actually, especially, it's kind of like playing pool. It's the only thing you get better at drinking. You just don't overthink it. But I kind of, at least in my little circle there, like was pretty good at it.
Mhm.
And like I said, I didn't want to join. So when I came in the military, still same old me, just in camis. And so
Right.
my piss mate in the barracks, dude, was a DJ. And so
No way.
yes, dude. So when me and Kimbo Slice over there met, we would go out with this cat to his shows.
Uh-huh.
Well, eventually, dude, I got drunk enough with him, enough times, I should say, rather, that he got to experience that a couple of times where we're hanging out and we're,
Mhm.
bro, this this cat goes, hey man, next show I do, what do you think about carve out a little section in my playlist, in my set list, and you just come up there and just go for it,
Oh, man.
bro. And I can't even describe like, and this is in Rapid City, South Dakota, right?
Okay.
Yeah, nowhere, bro, nowhere, right? But at the little venue he was playing, easy 50 something people
Oh,
in
man.
this thing, dude. The thrill of like, I don't even remember what the hell I said. One, because I made sure that there was plenty of Crown Royal in my blood
Right.
to get up there and just not overthink it and kind of be in the moment. And I had another friend, I don't even remember his real name. We all called him Piccolo. He is a kid from, he's a boxer, actually, Golden Glove from, I want to say like Jersey, maybe New Jersey. He's like a city kid, right?
Yeah.
And so it was super funny because we were very just like real world, right? I was brought up with Cash Money, No Limit Records, all that jazz,
Right.
right? And he's like on, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
very,
New
yeah,
York,
very,
yeah, right, yeah.
yeah, very different styles, and which was super apparent when we got up there and just tried to do our own thing. He gave me like this super fake, completely bezeled out watch, right? Full of cubic zirconium and
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yeah.
it's hilarious, dude. Like I had the best time of my life. I got up there, and I mean, again, I couldn't tell you anything that I said, but I could tell you that very positive response from all the people, lots of yelling, and very successful night with Kimberly when I finally was done. So I must have did
Right.
pretty damn good, right?
Uh,
And it was, what's funny is so much so that like as I got older, I would try to, because it was fun, dude.
oh, yeah.
I think if I got like super ripped now and like we were together, I'd try it again, but
The first night we hung out and had some drinks, yeah, that just came out late, super late that night.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I did it actually probably last year. We got ripped with some people at the clubhouse, a bunch of
Mhm.
tennis pros and stuff, which was hilarious because now you got these like this is an international room. We got a guy in the house from West Ivory Coast in Africa,
Okay.
a
Yeah.
dude from a girl from Brazil, a dude from Spain, kid from India, and a kid from so like
Mm.
we're all over the place, dude. But everybody is down for this, like, dude. And I was just thinking, like, this is nuts, bro. That it's like that, like, accepted, and everybody's this closet freestyle rapper,
Dude,
and
it's
everybody's not.
crazy.
But yeah, so to roll back, I still was like hanging on that for a little bit when I'd first came in, and then when we crossed paths, I'll never forget, dude. I like you said, yeah, I think it was that first night, late at night. Was it the first night we hung out was the awkward night, right? Because Alabama beat the shit out of us in the playoffs. And you realize like I
Trying to
was
remember back.
down about my team because I know we were still in the rental house.
Yeah, yep, I do remember
Yeah,
that, yeah.
yeah, because I was trying to teach you how to fish in the pond.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
But yeah, we had got into it, and then I don't know if it was that night or the next, but our wives hit it off as well, which was
It
super
was
cool.
that
Because
night. Yeah, it was whatever night they hit it off because that's when, yeah, we were left alone and that just came out.
and then your wife comes up to me and goes, "Did you know this?" and starts scrolling through her
Oh,
phone. That's how I found out, and I was like, "I should stop freestyling around this thing."
yeah. Oh, man. No, I guess, yeah, now that kinda cat's out of the bag, something I'm not, too proud of these days, but it's made for an interesting story. Yeah, man, I had a short-lived rap career, or at least so I
Yes,
thought.
dude.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I guess it came from, like, that same similar place, like, I don't care, probably if you weren't even in, like, the same, car of with the same ethnic like you said, almost everybody probably at one point or another threw on an instrumental and rap,
100%,
but yeah,
100%.
my car, I think what probably did it was, like, I was always like, I would hear that and, like, most probably 95, probably like anything else, 95% of the crap you hear is like, it's funny, but it's, like, horrible. And
Right,
I actually had, like, one of my buddies who like, one day at a party, he started going and, you can kinda, like, tell, like, "Whoa, that's different." Like, that's you know what I mean? It's kinda like when you hear, like, a legit song and it makes you like, "Hold on, rewind that." Like, "What did he just say?"
correct.
So I had, like, one guy who, like, he started going and I mean, just, like, going around the party and just cutting people up, but it was clean, and I think I don't know, whatever part of me always tries to do this of, like he just thought it was, like, fun and, he always said, like, "Oh, I'll write some songs," or whatever, but I'm like, "Okay, like, how do we get this recorded? How do we get this, like,
Bro,
out to people? Like, how do we"
you're the definition of an entrepreneur, bro. Yeah, I never met
Well,
anybody that has that spirit like you do of besides Elon.
no, jeez, oh, peace. Nobody's ever made that connection before. But yeah, and, like, so anyway, yeah, I mean, they just would, like, laugh it
Minus
off
the
over
tism.
yeah, gosh. But yeah, so I was always like working and hustling, doing different things. So I saved up, bought a little cheap microphone, little computer, figured out how to record, and I put this guy in the booth or whatever. And when I say booth, the closet, spread out all the
Hell
clothes and hang the
yeah.
microphone down. And dude, I started recording him, and then he's like, "Dude, you got to get in there, man. You gotta jump on here too." And Forrest like twist my arm, and I was never really a great freestyler, but for whatever reason, like I felt like I could put some actual songs. Like if I had time to sit there and write, not to like toot my own horn, but it was just I would say above average. It was like it wasn't
Right,
great, but I also had the almost like the circus appeal. They're like, "Oh, you tell me a white guy's on here? I gotta check it out." And so
yeah,
whatever reason, I had came a little bit of a I don't know if they're listening because it was good or just because it was like, I gotta hear this. Like, you gotta be
right.
kidding me. Tyler's on here. But
From
yeah,
the West Side?
I had
Bar
this
assault, Tyler?
so I had the studio and so then I became even more popular because everybody that thought they had a chance was like, yo, let me, come get in the studio. And ultimately, long story short, we ended up plucking out some like people who actually, we thought were pretty good, and we all, recorded a full album, and it was pretty cool. We sold it around school and stuff,
Yeah.
but yeah, it will forever haunt me because it lives out there somewhere, and I tried to leave that where it lies, but yeah,
Hell
that was
no.
a thing,
There's
and
no way we were fixing to talk about you tonight and not bring this up, dude. That is just that is just and it's not Kim has told me since we even talked about doing this, right? Kim has like banned me several times from me telling the story of how me and her met, right? Surprise. I've been in trouble
oh
with
man,
her
oh gosh,
before. Uh what's another I'm not
right?
worried about it.
Oh man, Kim, I told
Uh
him not to do it. Here it
but
comes.
but man, I think that that's the bro, those are the layers of people that like I think I have found out over 40, well, I mean, I can't count like childhood, but over my life, dude, I've found out that like my connections are always 10 times stronger with folks when I meet them where I'm at. And I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
this is me, and da da da. And, and just completely transparent. I will say that the military was dope in the fact that PCSing was cool because every time I went to change duty stations or whatever,
Hmm.
if there was a part of me I wanted to work on, like,
Yeah.
you know what,
Yeah.
dude,
Get a new
the
start.
every time, right? And when I show you don't know me from Adam, right? And it was crazy, especially when I met you guys. Again, this will go back to that. We gotta have the talk, right? Of like, do people really change? Because I would say when I met you guys, I had changed drastically in a lot of ways, maturity and just ambitions, knowledge drive, like things that I wanted to do and accomplish had changed. There were
Hmm.
people, dude, that if I'd have gone back home, it'd have been that whole like back home cross town, right? Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, dude. I have plenty of things too that I'd like to keep under the rug. You know what I mean? Like it's why I'll never be a politician. Cause bro, I'm tell you,
Yeah.
let them cats start digging on me, and they'll be like, "Hey, I'll be like, I'm out. I'm dropping. Uh, I'm not dropping because
That's
that's
hilarious.
true. I'm just out of here." But
Right.
uh, yeah, dude, no way. There's plenty, but I also think that it's what shows people that like, hey, man, I'm human too, because everybody's got skeletons, and I'm not saying we need to see the full skeleton, but
Right.
I think it does. It shows people that like, hey man, I'm growing up just like you. We're all just playing
Hmm.
this game and figuring it out as we go. And dude, I think your story's so cool because it's not because everybody's tried a little column A, little column B, little
Right.
column. You know what I mean? Everybody,
Right.
dude, to some extent or another. What I think is so cool about your story, dude, is exactly what you just said. You don't try shit, dude. You invest. Like it's like you're like, yeah, I'll give that a shot. But I've been doing a little research, and I'm gonna need some 808s, a good mic. We need to get some foam to soundproof this stuff. Like it's always and what's really cool about this, and this will go back to the topic that you want to hit, like the addicts or like addictive personality, right?
Right.
Uh
Yeah.
we share that through and through.
Hmm.
Kim can stand if I come home and I got a new hobby
Oh yeah.
because,
Yep. I think that's likewise.
bro, because we both it's this all or nothing, dude. I remember
Right.
I came home with the boys when I first got to Pope in North Carolina. They used to go bowling at lunch, right?
I remember this story.
Yeah. Next thing Kim knows, dude, I got 2 pairs of bowling shoes, 3 balls. I'm studying oil patterns, right? 'Cause I didn't know that was a thing, but it's a very thing, right?
Oh
Like, and
man.
I'm like, we're trying to, just get a turkey burger and hang out at lunch. I'm over there at the counter going, "Hey, do y'all oil your lanes for a tournament, or is this like recreational oil pattern?" And they're like, "It's $1 to bowl, dude. You got $1?" you know? And but
Uh,
dude, I and like I love listening to like the way you get down though, because not only can I relate, but I think you tend to like put the bow on it. Whereas like I'll chase that rabbit hole pretty deep, right? But then
yeah,
I'm like squirrel. And,
right.
and, you know, my
Oh
boy
yeah,
though is in albums. Like,
yeah, yeah. For what it's worth, yeah.
dude.
Some. I mean, definitely rode a couple horses a little longer than they need to be ridden, but you know, it's.
Hey,
I feel like sometimes too. I don't know if you've seen like the meme. It's the guy that's chipping away for diamonds, and he's super close. He's like, "Ah, screw it, I'm giving up." And then the other guy who rides all the way out. But I think there's a big debate like, in the investment world, or you know, even the business community. It's when do you know that you just got to put in the work and keep going, or like, bro, when is enough enough? And I think I don't know that I've really heard like a great answer there. It's like almost in my mind, it's like you gotta trust your gut and just go with it, right? I mean, I don't know there really is a definitive answer there. What one thing I wanted to get your thoughts on, guys, stepping back a little bit because this is, you know, like some of the things you said you probably want to keep in your past. I was never really proud of, you know, that particular piece that I, you know, dove into the rap arena,
like
mostly
thugging and
because
bugging
of
time.
right.
Yeah.
Mostly because, you know, it was like a couple years after, like, "Oh, is this the rapper?" You know, like, "Oh, is this," you know, and then Barb would introduce me to her, you know, like private school friends, like, "Oh, is that your rapper boyfriend and stuff." But I feel like you said, and it kind of took me to a later point in my life, like really until recently, when I think when you become enough of like confident or comfortable in your own skin, like you can laugh at yourself and it doesn't really matter, and you're comfortable like telling those funny stories. But there was like so much time that I was almost embarrassed or I cared too much about that. So, and I know you're more of a person who I don't know if I know anybody that's more comfortable with in your own skin. So, like, was that a journey for you, or is that were you just always kind of, dude,
No,
this is
no,
me,
not at
and
all. No, not at all. No. To be honest with you, and I didn't. Phew, I all right. I'm trying to wrap this up fast because I could do a whole episode on this, dude. I one I didn't know what was happening until I got like much older. But I think as a kid, dude, it wasn't embarrassed as much as it was, especially dude, I struggled a little bit as to why my biological dad wasn't worried. Like, why
mm,
do you not care where I'm at, what I'm doing? Why are you okay with like increasing our time apart to eventually non-existent, right? Like, and so in a lot of ways, I definitely, and I would tell you this for a fact, the commonality amongst don't get look, dude. Bike clubs are gang members. Gang members are gang members. Basketball teams are gang members. Military's gang members. It's everyone's in a damn gang. Your gang just might be at the Southern Baptist Church
yeah,
core the choir, right? But
right,
everyone's seeking community, dude, because solo sucks. Like you can watch these reality TVs of these old folks trying to hook up on love shows because they're not even looking for any more good sex. They just don't want to die alone. You know
right,
what I mean? Because that's like terrifying, I think. And so I think a lot of that, dude, was the common trait amongst when I started running with like the straight up hooligans. Dude, everybody had a daddy story.
mm,
Everybody, right? And the only guy that didn't have a daddy story was like usually the ringleader who was the
mm,
devil playing with the puppet strings because it was and I'm dead serious, right? It was the cat that was on another level with this like who understood manipulation of like you know what I mean? People that are
right,
looking for something and all you know, you listen to them rap songs, they talk about it, dude. The
right,
Snoop talks about it very clear cut. The you know
mm-hmm,
the big homies just screwing over the little dudes, like making them stand on the corner so they get rolled up. And who gives a
right,
shit as long as they bring them the money, right? It's this whole manipulation of because they know they're looking for acceptance in this thing, right? So I think for me, And in the beginning, dude, I wasn't confident at all. I was just trying to show out so I could get that attention and get accepted. And
Mm,
I was down to be dumb because like I said, right? Especially like with Bird, the more the more I expressed that, like, yo, I'm down on this, the more I didn't, shut her away, and the more outspoken and loud, the more attention I got, and the more like, hey, roll with us.
right,
And then you keep getting these like sips of confidence of like, my old boy is like not messing around. He's down. If somebody says like he'll be there, right? Which
right.
is really this misleading, like, there's I wish that people could identify that early on, and like even going back to like the addictive personality trait, because there is a gene, there for sure is a gene for like this addictive mindset. But if you catch that and you point that at the right thing early,
Oh, man.
sky's the limit, dude. But it's equally as dangerous. Like again, like we talked, dude. Let a kid get bored
Mhm.
and let him be piling around and find that manipulator that knows how to prey on
Right,
that
well
type of person, right? And I think, to be honest with you, dude, I hit this frustration point because like I'm winning with my friends as long as I'm producing, right?
mm, yeah.
And like doing something, like proving myself, right? I can never just show up and be
Mhm.
cool and hang out. It's always like, hey, do the thing, say that, whatever. And that gets exhausting. And at the same time, it's like, yeah, I'm making all these friends. My mom's pissed, yo.
Yeah. Yep, I know that. I remember that conversation.
Right? And
Yeah,
and and she even told me, dude, she's like, none of these people are gonna be there for you when it like hits the fan. And let me tell
right.
you, dude, well, you would think I'd have learned that lesson, but it hit the fan a few times before I really realized, like, every time this happens, I can only make one phone call that I know is gonna be answered. And the last
Mhm.
time I did that phone call, she let me sit for a minute. That was scary as hell.
Mm,
But the I think, and I don't even, Tyler, if I'm being honest, like I'm thinking about this real time. I don't even know, bro, that it's confidence as much as I'm finally like comfortable with me.
yeah,
Not necessarily confident, because I know like Kim could do better. You could get somebody on this thing here who just, that can pronounce words better and get a point across, right? But I did, over several years, just realize that, like, one, you can't make everybody happy. You just can't, dude.
right.
Like, that'll kill you. It'll literally kill you trying to, the stress will kill you trying to
Mhm.
constantly appease everyone. It's and you should know this better than anyone, because it's the same thing as like you were talking about, dude. If you come from a divorced family, like you see it all the time, dude. Constantly trying to go over here and make these people happy. Well, what makes them happy is conflicting with this family over
Right.
here. And then you get married and now you got in-laws, and it's like the holidays roll around, and it's like, why don't everybody just come to my damn house? Because I tell you what, dude, I'm sick of being on the road for the holidays and people trying to make me feel like crap. And then why didn't I, dude? Piss on the guy that came up with family photo Christmas cards, because all that crap. Like, I have a lot of friends now. Do we ain't do Christmas cards this year? I'm sure you noticed, right?
Right,
Uh, because I like, that's the same song and dance, dude. Like, why?
right.
Someone is always going to find a way to blame Patrick Mahomes. Do you
That's
know
a
what I
good way
mean?
to
It's
bring it full circle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Because it is. It's that same thing, dude. Like, with a million opinions floating around, you can't appease everyone. But what you can do is take all these life experiences, especially when you've had an eclectic spin like we have, right?
Right.
And you've dipped your toe in all these different boroughs and people and cultures, which is also, I think, your grandfather's spot on, dude. The That military journey, dude, I think everyone needs to get uprooted from their upbringing and see the
Mhm.
world a little bit, because I think that just takes the blinders off and gives you this perspective that like you only get by getting out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Uh,
I
because
completely agree.
yeah, dude, because all your boys, everybody from the album, right?
Right. Yeah.
If you go find them cats, hell, they're probably still in the closet trying to come up with the next track.
Right.
Because if you don't get out and see that there's other, shit to do, really, and something to strive for, then all you know is what's around you. It's that whole like you
Yeah.
don't know what you don't know. Unless you get out of the same old, well, you don't know a whole hell of a lot, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think through that experience too, man, I realized that like, and again, I will say this because it sounds easy to say all this crap, but had I never got out of Baldwin County, I don't know. I know I wouldn't be the same person.
Oh yeah.
Probably be dead with Jafet, to be honest with you, bro. Just because we were
Yeah.
bored. Because we were
Yeah.
bored, dude. And like, not that we were bad, we were bored. And it was the
Right.
same. It's the same thing that you see all the time, dude. Like all these dudes walking around can't see their junk because they just sitting at the house just smashing NASCAR beers because the American way is I do this 9 to 5 that I mostly hate, right? Uh, to buy the stuff and things to keep up with the Joneses, and then I try to numb
Mhm.
myself on the weekends to this grave I've dug that we call success.
I heard somebody the other day say the society, thank God it's Friday. Oh God, it's Monday. It's like, gosh,
That's
that's
America.
terrible.
It is,
Yeah,
dude. We
100%.
we and I know you're gonna chuckle at this, dude, but for me, that's just worshiping the almighty dollar, dude. I
Yeah,
think
no, I
people
100%
put
agree.
way too much value on that piece of paper, bro. And when it all goes up in smoke, when they turn off TikTok and all these kids like lose their mind, right? People are gonna find out, hey, I'm glad you've been stockpiling that money. Because
Mm.
Tyler's over here in the car is just gonna run your ass over and walk away with your hard-earned cash.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's crazy. Two things to wrap up. I want to just comment back. I think no, 100%. You're onto something there. I think for me, I became so much happier when I focused on not the dollar, but what you want that dollar to get you. So, like, what do you really want your life to look like? And also, like you touched on, I said confident before, but I think comfortable is probably the right word. Like, if you can just learn to be comfortable, and I think it's a journey. Like I'm still working on. I'm sure you are. Like, you're probably never
Yes,
there, but if you can just feel like, "Dude, this is me. I'm comfortable," you know, have at it. For me, those are two huge like pivots, and just on the happiness meter, it's like, phew. So take that
100%,
for what
dude.
it's worth.
Yeah,
To bring it full circle, you mentioned TikTok. The show is now on TikTok. We got little
get
clips on
out of here
TikTok.
for a
Yeah,
limited
this
time, huh?
right, limited time only. Come get it while it's hot. But with that, guys, we do have to wrap up. Appreciate the guys have been out there commenting, subscribing, watching the show on Spotify and YouTube. The TikTok is kind of like the use your fishing analogy. It's just kind of
Bait.
because they only give you like 60 seconds. Yeah, bait you in, then links to the real show if you want to check it out. So check us out on there and follow along. We need some subscriber counts on TikTok as well. But final thoughts before we wrap?
Yes. Thank you for being honest about you, bro. I'm telling you, there's always, I've played this game a little bit, dude, and there's always something that said that you think is super insignificant and it'll change someone else's life, bro. It does. It
Mm.
happens. So, way to be comfortable with you with yourself, dude, and let us in. That was super, man. I'm still amped about the grandpa thing. I'm actually excited to
Dude.
get off and tell Kim about it. That's dope.
Yeah. Jeez. R.I.P. Mike. Yeah, that's how we'll end it. Peace, brother. We'll catch you next time.